You just rather watch me fall from a golden mile. I can see you at the call. Think about it, ring won't tell you what I saw. When you break it off, you'll see who had it all. You had it all. You said you wanted to fall into oblivion. Forget about the world we're living in. Fall into oblivion, 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 oblivion. Oh, going in. Fall into oblivion. Fall into oblivion. Forget about the world we're living in. Fall into oblivion, 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 oblivion. I'm going in. You can't fall asleep when you're counting stars. Get it together. Your mind can't sleep when you let it serve. Now you wanna see me fall from a golden mile. I can see you at the call. Think about it, ring won't tell you what I saw. When you break it off, you'll see who had it all. You had it all. You said you wanted to fall into oblivion. Forget about the world we're living in. Fall into oblivion, oblivion, oblivion.
suffocating.
Can I talk?
Sorry. Hello and welcome to the 21st round and the 21st and final round of the Spec Esports PS4 Pacific Series Tier 1 League. We're here at the Yas Island for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Joining me in the commentary box for tonight's race under the floodlights at the Yas Marina. Please welcome Trevor Byers. How you going, mate?
Great to be here, mate. Big hello to everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're listening to us right around the world. Well, the championship finale, mate. The championship's been decided, mate, but great to be here nonetheless. And still, let's hope we can get some close racing tonight.
It's going to be a really good race tonight. Do you have a few track sets there for us, Trevor, to give us a little insight around the Yas Marina circuit here on the Yas Island?
Certainly do, mate. We've got 21 corners around this Yas Marina circuit here in Abu Dhabi. 2 DRS detection zones. The first Grand Prix, of course, being held here in 2009. 55 laps around this 5.554 kilometre course. Plenty of fives there. Race distance, 305 kilometres, of course, in real life. A lap record of a 1:39.283. Interesting track, this one. I think the great Kimi Räikkönen and Lachlan mentioned that the first sector wasn't too bad, but the last part wasn't that great.
Obviously, Kimi Räikkönen has a pretty big name around here. The famous "Leave me alone, I know what I'm doing" phrase that he said to his radio guy back, I believe, in the Lotus days, actually, when he was racing there before he moved back to Ferrari. But let's have a quick look now at your driver standings. As you can see on your screen, Zach Crichton obviously is our champion-elect for Season 3 of the Spec Esports PS4 Pacific Series Tier 1 League. But the battle for Position 2 is not over. As you can see, there is 5 points separating Position 2, 3 and 4 of the Red Bull of RNL3F4, Extra Evolution in the McLaren, and the Ferrari of 4022. So that is definitely going to be the battle to watch here tonight around the Yas Island circuit. Todster will be in position 5 for Williams. I do believe he is racing tonight. Then it'll be the Racing Point of Spilly. Plevs in position 7. Then it'll be the Ferrari of Crossy in position 8. P9 will be XXJ Schmidt for Racing Point on 114 points. And then rounding out your top 10 for Alfa Romeo will be Swaggy291 ahead of Gaming Burger Pure Gold. Romeo Alonso curving Texas for Renault in position 14. VSI Roscoe, BKXI, Dr. Dre 3000, I Contrast, Very Lazy Towel, and rounding out your top 20 in the driver standings is Banana Cake Pie. But let's move on to your constructor standings real quick. Mercedes, AMG, Petronas lead the way at the moment. The championship in the constructors side is has not been settled yet. 356 points. Currently, the Mercedes team sit on 348 for the Ferrari team. So there's nothing in between, and any little error from either of those drivers in those teams will potentially cost them the constructors standings here tonight. Racing Point are in position 3 on 270. They have a pretty comfortable lead behind them to McLaren in position 4 on 236. But on 236 points as well, I've actually just realised this. Red Bull and McLaren are on the exact same points in the constructors standings. So that is going to be another talking point tonight as well. So the McLaren of Extra Evolution, I can't even remember who his teammate is, and then the Red Bulls of Aaron and Banana Cake Pie. So let's see how that goes. Then it's the Williams in position 6, 223, Renault, Alfa Romeo, Toro Rosso and Haas. But let's move over to the main screen because the drivers are heading out now to the qualifying session. So let's quickly talk about you here a little bit, Trevor. Obviously, you are new. This need to point out as well, I didn't actually mention this, for next season of Pacific Series, Trevor will be doing the Tier 1 comms, so I unfortunately will be hanging up the microphone. I will not be doing any more commentating probably for quite some time. I've just decided to hand it over to Trevor. But talk a little about yourself. I'm my English right now. Talk a little about yourself here, Trevor. What's your previous history in commentating, and how's your F1 knowledge?
Well, I've got to say, first of all, I've been, as we see the Alfa Romeo have a bit of a moment there, pure gold, just going off the track. As you can see, hopefully you can get back on cleanly without getting in the way of the Ferrari there. But no, I've been commentating on and off for a few years now. Various different games and different consoles, and in real life as well. But I guess in more recent times, I've sort of settled into the esports F1 stuff, and also a bit of Assetto Corsa, Gran Turismo. Just a racing fan and a fan of motorsport in general, mate. But yeah, happy to happy to be here, and yeah, looking forward to the new game coming out in 2 or 3 weeks' time, and the new season coming up as well.
So it is going to be an epic season, Season 3 of Spec Esports. It's going to be one of the best seasons yet coming up, but as I have said, that the championship has been decided already by Zach Crichton. He is our championship champion-elect, I should say. But him and BK have been practicing, I've been hearing, that those two have been working together, trying to get BK's pace up a bit. He hasn't scored points, I believe, in the last couple of rounds, so he needs to try and get something here for Mercedes. Actually, no, I'm incorrect. He did score at the last round, I believe, did BK, but that was his first point scoring in a couple of rounds, so he needs to get some good points here this afternoon as well to try and claim the Constructors' standings, make it the double for the Mercedes team, try and claim the Constructors' standings over 40-22 and Crossy F1. But just a little bit more, we'll go back to the commentating side for you, Kid Byers. Something a few people may actually not know is that you're actually competing in the Supercars, the Australian Supercars All-Stars E-Series Commentate the Stars, I believe it's called. You actually made the final 3, so that must be a massive achievement for you.
Certainly is, mate. Absolutely fantastic. There is a vote happening right now, so I don't want to give a shameless plug on the stream here. But if everybody on Facebook, this would help me out immensely. If you go to the V8 Supercars Facebook page and just leave a comment, vote for my entry, number 1 Trevor Byers. And I haven't checked the comments recently. But I think I might just have a nose in front, mate. But if everyone out there watching could just jump on Facebook, V8 Supercars Australia, and vote for my Murray Walker entry, I'd be most grateful.
Hey, you're more than welcome to plug it, mate. You're going to be helping us next season on the commentary, so you're more than welcome to. But obviously, yeah, the famous Murray Walker... what's the word? The Murray Walker interpretation there. I've heard as well that you can do a few different ones, David Croft as well. So we'll have to see if you can do a couple of those here tonight. But if you don't mind as well, currently Zach Crichton is about to start a lap, hopefully. I believe he's about to start a lap, or is he going to be coming into the pits here? She is coming into the pits. Never mind. I was going to see if you wanted to give us a little insight around the Yaz Island circuit. We'll try and find a driver that is on a lap. A lot of them have actually completed their first laps. We'll go through your order real quick. As you can see, Extra Evolution in the McLaren currently sits at the top of this timing sheets. 1 minute 33.733 for the McLaren driver. Good start to his qualifying session. Then he's got his championship rival of Aaron L3F4 right behind him in P2. I was talking with Zach a little early in the stream as well. He was kind of contemplating doing a potential last to first challenge, but he ended up thinking better for the team. Obviously, as I've said a few times already in the pre-show of the stream, him and BK are currently battling with the team directly along beside them in the garages with Ferrari for that Constructors title. So those guys need to be on their absolute maximum attack here this afternoon. Zach needs to try and get as many points possible, and so does BK. He's currently down in position 12 on a 35.7, but Zach currently sits in P3. Gunners P4. He's returning. He's a returning reserve driver as well. Is Gunners. He's had a pretty good showing as Gunners in the last couple of races that he's done. He's been shown. My English right now is atrocious. I do apologise. Gunners has shown that he has really quick pace in qualifying. Unfortunately, he just hasn't been able to convert that over to the races and show what he's able to do. But let's see what he can do here this afternoon. And obviously, this is the last round of the season, so let's see how many points he can get for the Toro Rosso team. Todd is in P5 at the moment for Williams. Let's see how he goes. Crossy in P6. Schmidt, P7 for Racing Point. Then it's the Alfa Romeo Swaggy. Breno, AU Wingman in position 10 for McLaren. Curving Texas in position 11 for Renault. He'll be looking to get a good result for the Banana team. Dermy in P12 in the Haas. BKXI down in P13. Banana K Pice, Billy, Pure Gold, and still waiting on Plevs. Salted Urethra, I've never actually heard. I didn't even know he was racing. He will be a reserve driver, I believe, in the Toro Rosso for tonight's race. 40 in position 19, who looks like he's about to start a lap. He's on an out lap at the moment. He's going out on the soft compound tyre. And then Gaming Burger in position 20. So, do you have any idea, here, Trevor, on what the strategy is around the Abu Dhabi circuit? Obviously, a lot of the drivers are starting on the soft compound tyres. So, what do you think the drivers will opt to do for their strategy tonight?
Well, I guess it depends really. If you're in that top 10, how many laps do you do on the soft tyres in qualifying? I guess if anyone's starting, outside that top 10, they get a fresh set of tyres, of course. But I'm just looking, I think soft, medium, or hard. Will they elect to do a two-stop, or will we see drivers starting on that medium tyre, then going to the hard tyre? I guess that could open them up later in the race. Possibly for other drivers coming in and whacking a set of the soft tyres on and making a bit of a late charge, which is what we usually see around these 50% races. But it's going to be a bit of a mixed bag, but I guess that's what keeps it interesting, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, it definitely does. And if I am correct as well, the strategy, there are a few different strategies you can do around here as we're riding aboard with X Revolution as he's currently on a hot lap. I believe that you can do a two-stop strategy if you would like to. You can go to the softs, mediums, softs, if I'm correct, or you can do a softs, hard run one-stop strategy. So that could spice it up a little bit in the race, see what strategy is a little faster. But also, I was just about to point out what could the weather be doing. There's really no weather that needs to be contemplated around here. This track's never seen a raindrop, I don't think, in its entirety. I've been on the F1 calendar, but this is probably one of the more iconic sections of the circuit, going under the hotel there. Lights up in nighttime as well, especially when it's late at night. You can see it all the lights reflecting off the mirrors on the hotel. But let's ride on board with X Revolution as he heads through the final corner now. He's unfortunately made an error there. He does improve on his time though, 1 minute 33.616, 4/10 of a second clear of Aaron L3F4 in position 2. He made a few errors heading through that final sector, so I believe he will have some time to improve on there.
Certainly will, and I tell you what, if only I had enough money to visit that motel in real life. But anyway, it's still a great place for a great race, as they say. And I don't think we're going to get any rain in the desert, like you said, in what, 10 or 11 years around this circuit. We have not seen a drop. I think the only time I've seen it rain is when I made it rain on the game. But 6 minutes to go in qualifying. And boy, these McLarens are looking at pacey with X Revolution, a 1:33.616, 4/10 clear of Aaron in P2. And that is not the line you need to be taking through that first sector there, Lachlan. But I think AU Wingman, we've got McLaren's in first and 10th. And he's a long way off his teammate, isn't he, Wingman there? But as he's gone down to P11, Swaggy has jumped inside the top 10. But, boy, the times are very close, but it's still X Revolution 411 with that 1:33.616. And, Lachlan, I don't think I'm not a betting man, but I reckon that's a pretty good time as Swaggy there with a 1:33.8, 2/10 off.
Yeah, so the Alfa Romeo drivers put in a pretty quick lap there. Obviously, we still have 5 minutes remaining in the session, so the drivers will have enough time to go back around into the pit lane and put on a fresh set of soft compound tyres to try and set the fastest lap time possible. Obviously, the later points in the session will be when the track is absolutely at its prime, but 40 only managed to get himself up into position 7 on a 34.2. So let's bring up here some more telemetry. Leader at the moment, the gap between the top 10 at the moment are just separated by a little bit over a second there. Jay Schmidt, 1.090 seconds, separates himself and current pole position man of X Revolution. Let's try and find somebody that's on a lap. Looks like Aaron's on a lap. He's heading through the final corner now, final sector rather. Let's see what lap time he can do. He's coming up to the line now. What can the Red Bull driver do? He doesn't improve. He's actually a 10th down on his time, unfortunately, so he is going to sit in position 4. He should have enough time to get back around to set another lap time. But Crossy's also jumped into P3 as well for Ferrari, which is what they need in this constructors battle with Mercedes.
And that's the thing, you mentioned, Lachlan, the Drivers' Championship might be done and dusted with Zach taking the chocolates for the Drivers' Championship. But like you mentioned, mate, that Constructors' Championship is nowhere near done. Of course, the big battle between Mercedes and Ferrari tonight. But don't forget about the minor placings, of course, between Racing Point and, like you mentioned, McLaren and Red Bull as well, fighting it out. But, well, it's pretty even Stevens at the moment. And, well, with 4 and a bit minutes to go in this session, I'm just looking at those bottom two guys. Gaming Burger 36. He's usually right up there, isn't he, Gaming Burger, from what I've seen in the last few weeks in this championship. Does he like to usually leave his run fairly late in qualifying? He hasn't had a run yet. He's still in the pits.
So I don't believe so. I'm not too sure why he's down there still. Salted Urethra, I'm not too sure. I have absolutely no idea who that is, to be honest. I must be a reserve driver trying out. That was exactly what I was thinking. But anyway, one of your mates as well, BKXI, currently down in position 18. If I'm correct, it's BK actually lagged out of the session, so that's nothing new for BK. He's pretty used to that, to be honest. So yeah, let's see how he goes. He needs to try and improve on his time. He needs to try and pay off that work with Zach Crine. He needs to get within to the top 10, actually, to try and get some points here for Mercedes, because Obviously, in my opinion, one of the most powerful teams, or the strongest teams this season, has definitely been Forty and Crossy. They both just consistently had pace at any track and any time. They've been able to shine when they need to. So let's see if the Mercedes driver of BK down in P18 is able to improve on his time.
Here we go then. Let's have a look at this. Breno in the Haas now. And just a tick over 3 minutes remaining in this session. You do not want to leave your run too late, of course. Traffic can be an issue with this many drivers in the lobby and out on track trying to set a hot lap as we come through this final part of the course now. And strict corner cutting can always mean if you just put a wheel off just that little bit too far, it can invalidate your lap and potentially the next one as well. So you've got to be careful as we look now at Breno at 23, the number 79 in the Haas car coming over the line. What can he do? He jumps up to 12th with a 1:34.737. And boy, oh boy, from the first two, Lachlan, we've got, well, from 3rd down to 14th. All in the 1:34s at the moment, so it's very, very close with a couple of minutes remaining in this session.
So obviously now, as coming towards the end of the session, this is when the track's going to be absolutely at its prime. So I'm assuming all these drivers will definitely improve on their time. I'm trying to think back, I believe 2 rounds ago at the Mexican Grand Prix, I believe every single driver out of the top 20 was within a second in the qualifying session. That was probably one of the best qualifying sessions we've had the whole season, or every single driver in the top 20 within a second of the leader. So that looked like it was going to be a very competitive race, which it definitely was, especially for the lead of the race. But we'll continue on with this qualifying session. As you said, 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining in the session. Let's get your predictions here. Who do you reckon is going to take out the pole position, or the final pole position of Season 2 of the Race Spec Esports PS4 Pacific Series, Trevor?
Well, I reckon X Revolution, unless Swaggy can get another run in the last minute or so in this session, I reckon I'm going with X Revolution. I know everyone out there is going to think that's boring, Lachlan, but I'm going with the McLaren to take pole position here tonight. I reckon Crossy is a little bit too far off unless somebody can come out. We can see all the drivers now on their final run of their final out lap, but I doubt anyone's going to beat the McLaren.
I just need to point out as well, Plev's just got himself a 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking, so I'm not too sure what's happened to him there. He's currently heading through the final sector, but let's have a look. Well, as you can see on your screens now, both the Mercedes, we've seen them do this a few times this season, especially at Brazil. That was probably the main point, but we saw BK slot in behind Zach Krijn, trying to get a little advantage of the toe from his teammate, which it has worked in previous races. Obviously, BK's got to try and keep with Zach as well to make sure he gets an efficient toe. As you can see, he's right on the rear of Zach. Probably a little bit too close, in my opinion, because he's going to get a little bit of dirty air. But let's ride on board with BK as he heads into turn 1. You want to turn in as late as possible and get on the gas as soon as possible as well to optimize your exit there. Flat out through this section here in a modern day F1 car, heading up to a very heavy braking zone and the first chicane on the circuit. You're going to absolutely drive over that curb and this curb here as well, but you need to make sure you don't use too much of it because it will throw your car off. And now the slowest corner on the racetrack, the hairpin, a little bit of a stadium section there on the outside for the crowd to watch, but BK is going to be getting a nice toe here off his teammate.
Certainly will be, and well, the time is up now, isn't it, in this session, as we see the time counting down. So all the drivers who are currently on a hot lap, they can get around and complete this lap. As we see the drivers just getting out of the way there for each other, but geez, you've got to really find some space, don't you, towards the end of this session, Lachlan? Otherwise, it can get a bit scary in the latter stages. But well, X Revolution still on pole position. In fact, I think he's improved, hasn't he? 133.4 now. So
he's now got 4 tenths in hand over Swaggy 291. So is Swaggy going to be able to respond to that? No, he's not, because he's invalidated his time. Unfortunately for the Alfa Romeo driver, his qualifying session is done and dusted. He's not going to be able to improve at all. What can Crossy do? He's coming up towards the final sector now. Let's see what the Ferrari driver can do. Gaming Burger now, 1 lap dash he had. He's now jumped himself up up into the front row of the grid. He's gone 2/100ths faster than the Alfa Romeo's time. What is that going to be able to do? Coming up to the line, he now sets a 1 minute 33.895. There's nothing between P2, 3, 4 and position 5 now. Well, actually, Crossie's coming up to the line, but unfortunately he's invalidated. He set a 1 minute 34.131, so he was not going to improve on his lap time anyway, so that's unfortunate for him. Aaron's now jumped up onto the front row of the grid for Red Bull, a 1 minute 33.802, 4/100ths of a second clear of Gaming Burger behind. But that looks like the qualifying session is done and dusted. Swaggy is in the pit lane and Banana Cake Pie has retired from the session. So let's get a quick little insight here. The gaps between all the drivers. So about a second between our top 15. That is mega close.
Certainly is. Nothing between them at the moment. We had 5 drivers in the end of the 133s, 4 of which in the 133.8s, as that is the finish of the session. And I must apologise, Lachlan. I reckon I've been seeing some different. I'm in a different camera angle, I think, from the stream. But anyway, so apologies for anyone at home if they're wondering what I was talking about. Just another day at the office for me. But you can see there, it is X Revolution. Our man on pole position in the McLaren there, just 3/10 ahead of Aaron in second for Red Bull Racing. And Gaming Burger, that's the highest I've seen of Williams in about 20 years. But Gaming Burger in 30, left his run late, but managed to get inside the top 3 for qualifying. Swaggy 291 for Alfa Romeo. Zach Crichton now champion in 5th. Crossie, I'm just going to keep going here. Crossie in the Ferrari Pure Gold in 7th. Gunners for Toro Rosso there in 8th. Now AlphaTauri, of course. Toddster in 9th. Rounding out the top 10 is Plebs, and then 40 in P11. And, well, the rest of them on the screen, should be on the stream there, but we're getting ready to go racing, Lachlan, here.
We are getting ready to go racing. Stay tuned on the stream as well. Let me know some predictions in the live chat. I'll try and read them out as the drivers are on the formation lap. But we'll be back with you shortly for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Alright, so as you can see on your screens now, the drivers are heading out for their formation lap around the Yas Marina circuit here in Abu Dhabi at the Yas Island. Just a quick recap of the qualifying session that happened. The McLaren driver of X Revolution took pole position. That's what he needs in this championship fight. Obviously, the battle for position 2 in the driver's standings is not over between himself and Aaron L3F4 and 4022, who's at, I believe, the worst qualifying session he's had all season. He's down in P10, but we'll get to that shortly. Aaron's in P2 at the moment. That's what he needs. He does not want to let X Revolution get away from him in this race. He's leaving a very big gap at the moment between himself and X Revolution. He's not technically supposed to be doing that. But let's see if X Revolution backs out of it here. So on your second row of the grid, it will be Gaming Burger for Williams, who's going to be wanting to get a win here for the Williams team. I don't think they've actually won a race. Actually, no, Toddster's won one race this season at the Hungarian Grand Prix, I think it was, that he won for Williams. So that was their one and only win this season. Swaggy 291 in position 4 for Alfa Romeo. He'll start alongside the Williams and Gaming Burger. Zach Cronin P5. P6 will be Crossie F1. Then it will be Pure Gold on the 4th row of the grid. Alongside him will be Gunners 0405 for Toro Rosso. And then rounding out your 5th row of the grid and rounding out your top 10 is Toddster 99 and 4022. And 40 is in a very, very bad spot at the moment. Obviously, as I did say, him, X Revolution, and Aaron have 5 points separating them heading into this round. So it's literally whoever beats each other or whatever they finish in order of this race is going to decide where they finish in the standings. Obviously, Zach Crun has wrapped up the pre, if I'm correct. So the battle's definitely not over. Spilly in P11, P12, AU wingman for McLaren. Unfortunately, didn't get to where I think he would have liked to. His teammate, obviously, on the front row of the grid, so let's see how he can go this afternoon. Curving Texas in P13, Schmidt 14th, 15th Plebs. He did qualify P11, but unfortunately with that 5-place grid penalty, he now drops down to P15. Breno in P16, P17, Banana Cake Pie for Red Bull. Dermy down in P18, and unfortunately for BKXI, it's not the ideal starting position for him, starting off the rear row of the grid for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Certainly isn't, but we saw him last week, Lachlan, who he jumped from 14th to 6th, so with a clean start from the back of the grid, sometimes in these online races, it's not a bad position to be in. You can avoid some of that carnage at the start, as we are ready. 28 laps, 19 drivers around the season finale here. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. Go, go, go for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and X-Revolution gets a good start into the lead. Aaron right up alongside him, looks down the inside, can't quite make a move there, and they look like they've all got through the first corner cleanly. It's X-Revolution holding the lead off the line, with Aaron in second, Swaggy for the Alfa Romeo in third there. Gaming Burger has lost the position off the line from third to fourth, and then it's our champion-elect down there in fifth. But Lachlan, believe it or not, they've all got away cleanly.
They have all got away cleanly. As you can see, both the Ferraris scrapping off the back there. 40 is now right on the rear of his teammate as they head down the back straight into one of the slowest corners on the racetrack, one of the heaviest braking zones on the racetrack, one of the best overtaking opportunities as well. Pure Gold thought about making a move there on Zach Kreiner's Gaming Burger. Made a little error. Gunners down the inside of the Ferrari 40 heading into the chicane. Wasn't able to get far enough up, so he was pushed wide, and I think this might give an opportunity here to Gunners and potentially Toddster. You see 40 trying to break the slipstream, heading down the back straight here. The second DRS zone available on the circuit. Tots the deep under brakes, heading into the braking zone. Unfortunately, wasn't able to make the move stick. Then it's both the Racing Points holding on to P11. Schmidt's up 2 spots ahead of Curving Texas and Plebs. Plebs is up 1 spot off the start of the race. BK's already got himself a 3-second time penalty for multiple corner cutting warnings in the space of 2 sectors. AU Wingman in P15, P16 Banana Cake Pie. Breno's dropped down 1 spot, and Dermy and BK have held their spot. And now lead change already. I do apologize, I missed that on stream. Aaron L3F4 into the lead of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. He is not mucking around in this race. Look at that Revolution trying to make a move, heading into the final quarter. They're fighting for sheep stations already. And 1 lap at the start of this Grand Prix as Aaron crosses the line. He will be the first driver to lead the lap, the race. X-Revolution's now dropped down to P2. As I said, Swaggy's up a spot, so is Zach and Gaming Burger. So let's see how this goes. It's been a very eventful start here, Trevor.
Certainly has. Typical commentator's curse, I reckon. We said how quiet and how clean it was off the line. And then there's been plenty of carnage in the last part of this first lap as X-Revolution goes back past the Alfa Romeo of Swaggy. And is there an incident?
There was an incident. Gaming Burger got turned around there, unfortunately heading into the chicane. I believe that was Pure Gold. Made a little error. He was forced off into the escape road, and unfortunately, I don't think Gaming Burger saw him, and they made contact, and he went into a half spin. Down the inside goes Crossy, making it 3 wide. Actually, not Crossy, 40 rather, sorry. 40 making it 3 wide, heading into the back braking zone. He's now up into the top 6 with his battle here for position 7 is not over. You can see Toddy is right on the rear of Gunners as he heads down the back of straight. Unfortunately, he's lost a little bit of time, but these guys are all battling real hard at the moment in these early stages of the race.
It is so close here. Lap 2 out of 28 here at the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi. Great to have all 10 people on the live stream joining us. Fantastic. Big hello to everybody watching the stream here tonight. And as we come into the final part of this lap, boy oh boy, there's people changing positions each and everywhere as X-Revolution 4-1-1. He's gone down to 4th now. The man who started in pole position now currently down in P4. And it's still Aaron in the lead. Swaggy in P2. Our championship winner there, Zach, in P3 for the Mercedes team. And in fact, it's Gunners in the lead. These timing screens are all over the place here, Lachlan, but we're doing the best we can.
So X-Revolution has now come into the pit lane, so let's see if he's doing a front wing change. He is doing a nose change on that McLaren car, so unfortunately he's got very early damage in this race. This is really going to hurt his strategy, but currently at the top of my standing sheets, it is Aaron L3F4 that leads the way for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. He's got 5/10 clear of Swaggy 291, but as we are now on the 3rd lap of the Grand Prix, DRS is now activated, which allows the drivers to open the rear wing to allow them to, as I should say, assist them to make overtakes. Swaggy wasn't really close enough that time round to make a move on the race leader of RNL304. Pure Gold right there as well. All these drivers at the moment are within a second in the top 10. As you can see, Gaming Burger and Crossy went side by side, heading down the back straight into the chicane. And Crossy pushed Gaming Burger out wide, and now that's allowed Schmidt to go down the inside. Will he be able to make a double move here? He does. Down the inside goes the Racing Point driver of Jay Schmidt. He's going to move that Racing Point up into position 9, right behind his teammate now of Spilly.
Great stuff. Force India Racing Point, I should say. Force of Habit 7th and 8th now with Spilly and Schmidt. Great move there, putting Crossy down to P9. And, well, we can see on the comments there, rare to see close racing at the start in Abu Dhabi. But speaking of close racing, it's very difficult to pass, isn't it, in the last part of this lap? And it's pretty much like Monaco without the walls, line astern, as we see the fastest lap times tumbling now, 40 with a 1:38.972. So if he can get into some clear air there, he's behind Pure Gold at the moment. But the Ferrari driver of 4022, they're doing very, very nicely indeed. He's made 4 positions up from the start. So he's doing very nicely indeed. Lap 4 out of 28. And we've already seen X-Revolution 411 come into the pits to get some damage repaired there. A damaged front wing was, and Plebs also in the pits as well. But it's going to be interesting to see now, Lachlan, the strategy here. X-Revolution, of course, making that early pit stop. And could he get a jump on some of this traffic in the midfield? It's all about trying to get some clear air and setting some fast lap times, isn't it, while your tyres are reasonably still fresh.
Most definitely, but we're riding on board here with Todd, so as you can see, him and Gunners were running side by side, heading down the back straight. There's a few battles at the moment. All the top 4 are converging on each other, but let's go on board here with 4022. He goes around the outside of Pure Gold. Actually, is that Pure Gold? It is Pure Gold. Sorry, I'm getting the alphas mixed up. Pure Gold now dropped down to position 5. Swaggy up into position 3 now, so he's battling with Zach Crane. I believe they went side by side, heading down into the second chicane. Sorry, the third chicane rather, and unfortunately that's cost him a little bit of time. He's now got 6/10 in hand, has the Mercedes driver of Zach Crane. RNL304 leads away at the moment. This is only allowing him to extend that lead in that Red Bull car, which is what he needs to conceal this championship here for P2 in the driver's standings. And look at that, I think we may see, I thought you were seeing Swaggy coming into the pits there for an early pit stop, but as you did point out before, X-Revolution, Plebs, BK and Banana Cake Pie have all come into the pit lane to do a early pit stop. Unfortunately for Banana Cake Pie though, he did not get a front wing change when he requested when he made a request to his team to do a front wing change. Unfortunately, he didn't do it. And look at that, up on 2 wheels there when 40. He ran real wide on the exit of turn 3, and unfortunately that's cost him a lot of time. There's yellow flag in sector 2. Who's that corner? Looks like it's Curving Texas is around, and he's unfortunately facing the wrong way. Doesn't look like he has any damage, so I think he may have made contact with someone in that little battle pack there.
Certainly did. P14, Curving Texas in the Renault. Not a good race for Renault at the moment here on lap 5 out of 28. Both of those Renault cars outside of the points, with Curving Texas and Plebs down in 16th, 13th and 16th respectively. But, well, 5 drivers have made pit stops tonight, and, well, Banana Cake Pie, he's made 2. Of course, a bit of a mix-up there in the pit lane for him. But back at the front, boy, oh boy, the battles are so close now. 40's made his way up to 3rd. Zach in 2nd, and he is on a charge, Lachlan. He is well and truly on the way up to that Red Bull in P1. And, well, I don't think it's going to be too long before Aaron is going to have a face full of Mercedes-Benz, if he hasn't already.
So obviously Zach needs to try and get maximum points here this afternoon, because unfortunately his teammate BK's 24 seconds off the car in front of him, down in position 8 of Plebs. So he needs to get maximum points here, and unfortunately for the Mercedes team, both Ferraris are currently in the top 10. Obviously Crossy occupying that 8th spot, which I believe he'll now jump up to 7th. He does now because Gunners is into the pit lane. So there's currently a Ferrari in P7 and position 3, which I believe that will be all they need to get the Constructors standings or the Constructors Championship here this afternoon. But obviously 40 has been super aggressive off the start here. He cannot let Aaron L3F4 get away. Unfortunately, it has not been the ideal start to X Revolution's championship, or race I should say. So he's down in position 13, currently outside of the points. He needs to be up here with 40 and Aaron, so he'll be hoping for a potential late race safety car, which can bring him back up to the front with these people, with these drivers.
Certainly will be. 48% chance of a safety car around here. If you believe that, you'll believe anything. But, of course, there is no rain here, though. It doesn't rain in the desert, so we haven't got that chance of some carnage due to the wet weather, of course. But it's all going to come down to strategy and just who can... we've got a long, long way to go. Of course, 22 laps in this race as the sun sets here at Abu Dhabi. The sun setting on this championship. But, boy, Aaron there still currently in the lead for Red Bull Racing. And we mentioned it's all about those precious, precious constructors' points. Zach Crichton flying the flag for Mercedes-Benz. And I reckon Toto Wolff's going to be too happy with BK down there in 17th. But he's 40 there in third. He's driving a really good race, isn't he, Lachlan? He's just biding his time, not doing anything too silly. And then Swaggy in fourth. So things... starting to calm down, but we've got two Alfa Romeos there, Swaggy and Pure Gold in fourth and fifth. And are we going to hear any team orders here, Lachlan? Are we going to hear Pure Gold is faster than you? Or is it just are they going to let them race?
So I think these guys have been racing for the majority of the race, to be honest. They've been going side by side a few times already in the start of the Grand Prix, but I think that's what they're going to need to think about here because the front three aren't now getting away. Swaggy has now got a 1.7 second difference between himself and 40, which is out of the DRS range. So that is going to allow the front three to get a gap. Obviously, we heard Zach Crichton say a couple of rounds ago he was actually helping Aaron and 40 out to try, or so I should say 40 helping him out with his driver standings, but unfortunately that is not going to be the case tonight. He is going full hell for leather here to get as many points as possible. As you just saw there, Aaron's made a little mistake heading onto into the braking zone. So could this be Zach's opportunity to pounce on that Red Bull car heading down the back straight now under the Fanatec board, the other pit straight at the Yas Marina circuit? Zach down the inside going for the narrowest of gaps heading into the chicane, and he gets the move done up into the lead of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix on lap 7. Around the Yas Marina circuit. Aaron has now been pushed back down to P2, and the driver behind him is one of the two drivers that he is battling at the moment for the Drivers' Championship, Aaron's made another little error there. He's locked the inside front, which has now dropped him back down to position 3. So 40 into position 2 now, which is what he needs to conceal position 2 in this championship. As I said early on in this Grand Prix, it is whoever finishes in front of each other will win the champion, or will win out of that little race between 40, Aaron, and X Revolution. And unfortunately, it's not looking too good for Revolution, and 40 and Aaron have one less person to think about.
Well, it was incredible, wasn't it? We saw the Red Bull of Aaron there losing 2 spots in the space of 2 or 3 corners. And you've got to say that move down the back straight for Zach, that was the move of a champion. But he is not out of the woods yet because he's got the Ferrari right up behind him, of course. And we're coming into this first DRS zone here on this circuit. So I reckon Zach will be getting pretty nervous with all of that Ferrari power right behind him as he pulls out. Now they're side by side, 320 kilometers an hour. And is he going to get the move done? Yes, he is. And well, the second lead change in just as many laps. It's the Ferrari in P1. Ferrari versus Mercedes versus Red Bull. Just like what we see in real F1, of course. But 1, 2, 3, look at that, all on your screen. And don't forget about Aaron, or Spilly as well, I should say, down there in P4 on the medium tyres. But this is so close, Lachlan. They're going at it again here.
Oh, Zach's been pushed out in position 3 now. He tried to go around the outside of the Ferrari heading into that braking zone. Unfortunately, he missed his braking point a little bit. Look at that, trying to stick his nose down the inside through the fastest corner on the racetrack. Zach Crichton thought about making a move. He had a slight overlap on Aaron, but Aaron had already committed to the corner. He was never going to back out of that, and he was forced to hit the brake pedal, I believe, that did Zach Crichton. But now 40 up into the lead of the Grand Prix. He's up 9 positions from his starting point. It's been a mega driver, a mega start to this race. 40 has pretty much made a spot every single lap in this Grand Prix so far. Aaron's in P2, as I said, Zach's in P3, and with these guys battling, this has allowed Spilly now to get up into position 4, and unfortunately for both the Alfa Romeos, those two battling and mucking around with each other, that has let the Racing Point driver Spilly catch up and get ahead. But now the top four are also close. Spilly trying to go around the outside of Zach Crichton, heading into the braking zone. But look at 40's gap now. He's got 1.2 seconds between himself and Aaron. Could this be the end of Aaron's run here? Because will he get DRS? I don't think he will. He's not. So 40's absolutely blitzed both of these drivers here. And unfortunately for Aaron, he has lost DRS. But look at this now. Spilly and Zach Crichton running alongside each other, heading down the back straight. What can Pure Gold do about it? Let's ride a ball with him as he's got the best seat in the house heading into the braking zone. And Zach Crichton now Spilly rather, now up into position 3 for Racing Point. He's on a charge as well, up 8 spots in this Grand Prix.
Well, absolutely. It's all happening, isn't it? Lap 9 out of 28 here. And 40 will have a little bit of breathing space out the front, but it's not over yet. Aaron's been in the action. And was there contact between Aaron and Spilly there in the Racing Point car? I think there might have been, but Spilly now down to 5th. Zach Crichton still in 4th. Off in pursuit, 3rd I should say. It's got Gunners on the top of leading this race, but that's a glitch of course. But look how close they are. It's absolutely, you've just got to keep your composure, stay calm. Don't get involved in anything you don't need to at the moment, with still a bit over half this race still to go, as Zach has a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. And now we've got some pit stop action here as Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes all in the pits. And probably not a bad idea, Lachlan. Try and get some clear track. And, well, let's see who can win out of this pit battle here.
So obviously we saw Zach there. If you saw heading into the triple right-hander, Zach nearly absolutely pile-drived Aaron heading into the braking zone. He was forced to avoid that Red Bull car, which allowed the Racing Point of Spilly to get ahead. But as you can see on the timing ladder on the left-hand side of your screen, on lap 10 of 28, it is a Racing Point 1-2 at the moment, with Spilly currently in the lead of the Grand Prix. He's up 10 spots rather, and up 12 spots is his teammate XXJ Schmidt. Then the other McLaren of AU Wingman's currently in P3. So let's actually have a look here. Let's see where X Revolution comes out out of all this. He's in position 7 at the moment. So he's come out ahead of 40. And look at this now. Crossy's also in P11 now. So Crossy is now into provisional P2 if I'm correct. So the Ferrari drivers undercut a few drivers here. So if I'm correct, it is a provisional Ferrari 1-2 at this stage.
Certainly is, as we see on my screen that most drivers now on the medium tyre. BK further back down the field on the hard tyres, along with Banana Cake Pie as well. And, well, you might as well do that, I guess. Try and run as long as possible in this race. And we were talking about pit stop strategy. That was the big question leading into tonight. I had no idea what compounds or what strategies the drivers will be running on. But you've got to say, if they're on the mediums, at the moment, Lachlan, they might be just looking to sneak into the pits either for another set of soft tyres, maybe towards the end, as we see now lap 11 of 28. And it is the Racing Point cars, Spilly and XJ Smith now first and second. AU Wingman into the pits, along with Breno now. So plenty of pit stop action, 3 cars in the pits. And as soon as I say that, the Racing Point is in the pit. So Gaming Burger as well, setting a fast lap. That is very, very handy. A 1:38 flat there. He is currently down in P11. He'll make up a few spots after this round of pit stops, of course. But boy, oh boy, we're going to see where they all come out once these pit stops have been made. And you've got to say, the big winner's probably, I reckon, Crossy still. He's got some clear air there, but he's behind Plebs, who is yet to make a stop. So I guess it's just a matter of how far Spilly can run for Racing Point, but he's currently out in the lead at the moment.
So obviously, as we did talk about, there are so many different strategies that you can do around the Yards Marina circuit. Just look at that down the inside there. Go Swaggy and Crossy. Crossy now up into position 7. He's now cleared that Renault car, but as you can see on the timing board, the timing ladder on the left-hand side, everyone but Dermy and Spilly has made a pit stop. And obviously, there are so many drivers out of sync at the moment from what we saw. And look at that, Swaggy's absolutely running to the side. There are Plebs, and Zach's now forced the issue up into position 9. He is not mucking around. He cannot let these 2 Ferraris get away from him, which he's actually done a little bit now. Unfortunately, he's left them for dead. Has 40. He's now pulling away from his teammate and Swaggy and Zach Crichton. So Spilly leads away at the moment. He's still staying out on those medium compounded tyre. He is now the only driver, and Jeremy too have not made a pit stop. But will we see the harsh drive in this lap? Yes, we do. So will be Spilly the only driver at the moment that has not made a pit stop in this Grand Prix.
And you can see there, like you said, he's the only driver not to make a stop. And 11 laps on the medium compound tyre. And the only issue is how long can he stay out? What sort of condition are those tyres going to be in on that Racing Point car? But I guess you've got to, you can't leave it too long, can you? Otherwise, we've got, you know, the gaps. You've just got to, with everyone else having made their stops, everyone bar Spilly, you've just got to think about that strategy. Will he try and run longer and then maybe whack a set of soft tyres on? That is the question, the million-dollar question here tonight. But we're approaching half race distance, and it is still the Racing Point leading ahead of Todster there, 99, the Williams X-Revolution right up behind him. Is he going to have a go on this lap? He's a little bit too far back there, 40 in the Ferrari ahead of Crossy. So Ferrari just in 4th and 5th there. And Swaggy as well, and Zach all the way down in 8th, but it's still very close and very tight in the midfield. We see it each and every week, the battle for the championship as well. Still well and truly alive, isn't it, for both the constructors and the minor placings in the drivers as well.
Yeah, it is really spicing up here, so it's just very confusing as commentators to, well, it's very complicated as commentators to figure out where everyone is on strategy at the moment. So Gunners currently sits in position 2. He's currently the lead driver that has made a pit stop. Spilly leads away on track at the moment, has still not yet made a pit stop. If I'm correct here, if I'm thinking the exact same as what Spilly is, I reckon he's going to try and do a one stop here this afternoon. He's going to push his mediums out as absolutely long as he possibly can, and then go onto a set of hard compound tyres to go to the end of the race and potentially hope for a late safety car to put on a fresh set of soft compound tyres later on in this Grand Prix. But Gunners is currently the lead driver at the moment that has made a pit stop. He's currently in P2. Then it is Todster right behind him in P3. X-Revolution's in P4 at the moment for McLaren. He's got his his championship rival of X-Revolution, 40, right behind him in P5. He's starting to catch up, but 40 is absolutely outclassing all these drivers at the moment. He's been absolutely so much faster than everyone out on circuit at the moment. So let's see how he goes battling X-Revolution, because obviously he's not going to give that position up easy.
No way, Jose, as we are approaching half the race distance at the moment, but it is still mighty, mighty close. And it is difficult to work out these positions. Lachlan, I've got to say that it's still got Gunners 0405 currently in P2 there for the Toro Rosso car. But anyway, it's a little bit confusing. But Spilly then, it's still got him in P1, then Todster in 3, X-Revolution down there in P4. So Pure Gold now into the top 10. As Plebs might have come into the pits, I reckon. Race control. Now 40's got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, and it's something we see a lot in these esports races, don't we? It all can come down at the end of the day to the penalties, can't it? Given the racing on track is so close, as we see the McLaren of X-Revolution, the man who started on pole position, coming into the pits now, Lachlan.
So I reckon we'll be seeing a hard compound tyre going onto this McLaren car. No, he's putting on the mediums again, but he's got a 5-second hold penalty here as X-Revolution. So unfortunately for him, that is going to cost him a lot of time. His championship, well, this last race here in the championship is not going to the McLaren driver's plan at the moment. Obviously, as you did say, Plebs did not come into the pit lane there. He's actually battling with Breno heading through the final sector. Breno managed to get ahead of that Renault car up into position 14 here now goes, and Zach Crichton now making a move on Swaggy. They're going to run alongside each other heading down the back straight. They both have DRS, but who is Crossy going to give the slipstream to? It's more looking like it's in favour of Swaggy, but he's still got that overlap. Has Zach Crichton heading down the back straight. He is not one to back out of a move, and they make contact there. Does the Mercedes and the Alfa Romeo driver. Looks like Swaggy has a better traction on the exit of the corner, and Zach's had to go back under the rear wing of Swaggy heading down the back straight. Swaggy defends the inside line, heading up into the braking zone. Who's going to be deeper under brakes? They make contact there, and Zach will have the inside line for this next right-hander. Very smart driving there from the Mercedes driver. He knew that he would get that inside line for the next right-hander, which he did. Optimised as he ran wide there. As you can see, heading through that corner, he got a lot of oversteer on acceleration, and that just hurt him massively. But unfortunately for Swaggy, he wasn't really close enough to take any advantage of it.
Certainly wasn't, but very, very close indeed. It looked as though they'd made contact there, but lap 14 out of 28. And as the great Murray Walker would say, half the race gone and half still to go. Thank you for that, Murray Walker, the legend himself. Still going strong at 97. BK loves the Murray Walker impression. Lachlan's hard to fit it in there, mate. But lap 15 out of 28. And under lights here at Abu Dhabi in the season finale. It's Spilly still leading this race. Has not made a stop yet. And he is the only one not to have made a pit stop. And he's done 14 laps on those tyres. The medium tyres will be looking very rugged indeed. And you can see they've lost that shine that we see when they put the brand new set on. But 40 is tracking him down there. 2.6 seconds the gap in P2 as Todster 99 in the Williams. And he's currently in P3, so then it's another Ferrari of Crossy F1 in P4. So Ferrari's P2 and P4. Forza Ferrari, but not for long, because here comes Zach. And look at this. Look at this. Down the inside, he's got the move done there, Lachlan, up to P4. And do not count this man out yet. He's won the championship, of course, but he could finish it off poorly, couldn't he? He could still win this race, couldn't he, with 13 laps to go?
He definitely could, but we also need to remember as well there's a very, very high chance of a safety car coming out. All 19 drivers in the race are still in the race at the moment. So will we see the pit stop now for Spilly? Yes, we do. So the Racing Point driver now into the pit lane to put on a new set of tyres. Let's see what he opts to use, or opts to go on, I should say. 40 now goes into the lead of the Grand Prix. Gunners in P2. 40 actually overtook both Gunners and Todster there. So let's see how easy that makes it, or let's see how easy Toddy and Gunners make it for Zach Cronin. Look at that. Spilly is doing what I thought he would do. He's doing the one-stop strategy. He tried to push those mediums out as long as possible, and he's going onto those white striped hard compound tyres here now to try and make the end of the race. Obviously, with a late safety car, that could potentially change up his strategy. He could go onto a fresh set of soft compound tyres and try and work his way through the field. He's currently in P13 at the moment. He has X Revolution behind him in P14. 3.5 seconds separating those two drivers. But as I said, 40 now leads away of the Grand Prix. Gunners in P2. There's a yellow flag. Who's that gone? It's Curving Texas again in the exact same spot as he did a few laps ago. And unfortunately this time, he got away with damage the first time, but unfortunately now his left end plate is missing off that Renault car.
Looks like he's left a bit of the Renault car there with him. And, well, there must be a magnet in that particular corner in the first sector for his car. And hasn't been his race, his track here tonight. We're not at the Circuit of the Americas for Curving Texas, but he is down in P16 and 11 seconds off the Haas of Dermy 17 there. But, boy, he just does not like that corner. There's something about that Renault that does not like that part of the circuit, but he's managed to gather it up cleanly, and I reckon he hasn't got too much damage there. He's probably going to lose a little bit of downforce, a little bit of handling, but he should still be okay if he can just keep it all together there, because BK is having a very ordinary race there. He's 25 seconds behind Curving Texas, so P17, that's no issue at all. But, well, it's all about the Ferrari now, isn't it? 40-22. Zach still on a charge, of course, but that gap 4.4 seconds as we see Todster 99, the Williams into the pits along with Plebs as well. So Plebs finally coming in to the pits. And X Revolution, well, he's down in 13th. We haven't called his name too much, Lachlan, but he's just completely gone off the radar, hasn't he, after taking that pole position? I guess it doesn't always translate. You can be good in qualifying, but it doesn't always translate into the race.
So unfortunately, it just has not worked in Aaron's favour either. So just with all these strategies, it could potentially work out for Aaron later on in this race. But there's just so many different strategies. As I said before, it's just completely so confusing to where everyone is on circuit and where they are with strategy. So Aaron's down in P10 at the moment. He's got 4 seconds between himself and the McLaren of AU Wingman. Then he's got Breno behind him at 2.8. So let's see at the moment, as you can see, Swaggy, Crossy. Sorry, is that Crossy? It is Crossy. So Crossy, Swaggy, Gaming Burger are all actually converging on each other here. This is the battle for position 4 on the racetrack. So let's see what the Alfa Romeo driver can do. He's been reeling in that Ferrari in front, and Gaming Burger's also been catching up as well. Let's move over here to the position change to see who's actually moved up the most spots. Obviously 40 is looking like he's going to be going for contention of driver of the day here this afternoon. Up 9 spots already in this Grand Prix. He did that all within 9 laps of the race as well. He moved himself into the lead of the Grand Prix. So he's had a really good start to this race. Is now Gunners 0405 into the pit lane for his first scheduled stop. Sorry, his second scheduled stop, I should say, in that Toro Rosso car. Moving Zach now up into position 2, and then Crossy into P3, making it a Ferrari 1-3 at the moment here in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We have 10 laps remaining as well. Let me know some predictions in the live chat to who you reckon's going to win this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I'll read them out on stream.
Great stuff. Don't forget 10 laps remaining. Get those comments in. We would love to hear from you here. Season finale, of course, in this Pacific Series for Tier 1, round 21. Great to have everybody with us on the live chat. All 12 people watching. We love each and every one of you. But lap 18 out of 28, and this race is far from over. But things have settled down a little bit as AU Wingman, the McLaren, down the inside of the Racing Point car there of Schmidt. And Schmidt's managed to keep his nose in front at the moment. But it is the McLaren which is going to have the run on him as Zach Crichton gets a 3-second time penalty. Multiple warnings. He's been a bit of a naughty boy there, and that will not help his cause, will it? 4.8 seconds behind our race leader at the moment. But, well, very interesting stuff. I'm not sure whether we're going to see any more pit stops. Are these drivers going to make it through to the end on these tyres? Get your predictions in now. Let us know what you think in the comments. And as Racer X says, $1.3 billion of waste. Oh, that's not a very good... he must be fun at parties. That's not a very good attitude, is it? But keep your comments coming in. We'd love to hear from you. Willis says thank you. And awesome stuff. Well, just a tick under 10 laps remaining now in this race. And BK and Banana Cake still having a great chat down the back there in 18th and 19th respectively. But how exciting is this? We've seen some very close racing, and managed to tune into the race last week as well. And boy, this sets us up for another big season on the new game as well, Lachlan.
It definitely does. As you just saw there, Spilly making a move on X Revolution. He's on a charge at the moment on these hard compound tyres. He's right on the rear of the Haas of Breno, heading into the second sector. Let's see what this Racing Point driver can do. Heading to the hairpin now, trying to late apex that corner to get the best possible exit. Heading down the straight, as you can see, Breno defends the inside line there. Or is he actually letting the Racing Point go? I think that's what he's aiming to do here. He's not trying to get in a fight here with these drivers, battling it out for the champion, or the highest spots in the championship. As now Breno has dropped down to position 12. He has Gunners right behind him at the moment. But let's go back to our leaders of the Grand Prix of 40 and Zach Crichton. So it's 5.1 seconds at the moment separating our two race leaders. Crossing in P3 at the moment, 2.4 behind. But as we said a few laps ago, these three are converging of Crossy, Swaggy and Gaming Burger. So let's see if Pure Gold also can catch up to his little battle pack with his teammate involved in it. AU Wingman's there as well. He's also just got ahead of Jay Schmidt up in the P7 for the McLaren driver. He's currently the lead McLaren. Didn't think I'd be saying that after X Revolution's qualifying performance. But it looks like Gunners has now made a move on Breno. He's gone around the outside there, has the Gunners on Breno into position 12 now. Not too sure. It looked like he went around the outside there. But Revolution and Breno are now running alongside each other as they head up to the penultimate corner. Breno's getting left for dead here. Now the McLaren up into position 13. Unfortunately, this is not there. Oh, there's a Williams around. That's Todster at the final corner. The Williams is now gone around. He's facing the wrong way. There's yellow flags absolutely everywhere. And unfortunately for Toddy, he has now dropped down all the way to position 14.
Yeah, we were, well, I'm not too sure what happened there for Todster. We saw that we were watching another battle between the McLaren and the Haas, but then out of nowhere, we saw Todster lose it. He must have lost it coming out of the final corner there, but he's currently down in P14 and he's dropped, well, 6.1 seconds, just a tick over 6 seconds now behind Breno and X Revolution 411. I'm not too sure what happened there. We didn't see it. We caught the end of that incident, but can get very bumpy into that last corner, and well, some drivers have been known to lose the rear end coming out of that final corner, and as Banana Cake Pie has retired from the session, and we've got a virtual safety car now, so will we see some pit stop action, Lachlan, in the final few laps?
Not too sure. I don't think a virtual... Unfortunately, it hasn't come for the best at the best time here. As you can see, Banana Cake Pie's car there absolutely smashed up. The whole right side of the suspension in that car is absolutely shredded to pieces. As you saw there, 40 has now continued around the racetrack, so he is not going to be making a pit stop. DRS is now re-enabled as the virtual safety car has ended, so that is our first safety car in the race. Hopefully we actually do see another full course safety car coming towards the dying stages of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, just to spice it up a little. Obviously 40 won't be wanting that. He'll be wanting to stay exactly where he is, but at this stage, if everything stays as it is, the Ferrari team will be the Constructors champions of Season 2 of the Race Spec Esports PS4 Pacific Series Tier 1 League. But we need to watch this gap as well. Before the safety car, Zach actually had a 4.7 second difference between himself and 40, so he was rapidly catching up to that Ferrari, but unfortunately that virtual safety car has caught him out a bit. He's lost a couple of tenths.
Yes, it seems to have caught him out, but like you said, don't start celebrating down there in Maranello. We hear the Forza Ferrari. We hear it, don't we? But they're on course, but they're not home yet. 7 laps remaining in this race. 19 drivers started this one. 18 are left from 40 to BK down there in last place. And Banana Cake Pie, they're doing a fairly good job on that Red Bull. It had an awful lot of damage. Lockie, I reckon the last time I've seen a Red Bull with that much damage, it was Pierre Gasly in testing last year. But anyway, Gaming Burger has made up a position. He's up to P5, or is it P4? Because Gunners is still on my screen. And as we've got a yellow flag now in Sector 3.
BK.
And what's going on there?
That's BKXI's now off the racetrack there. As you can see, he's in a very odd spot there. Not too sure what's happened to the... Oh, he's off at the final corner. Okay, so unfortunately for BK, he's now made a little mistake here. He's now been lapped by the race leader of 40.22. So not too sure what's happened here to the Mercedes driver, but he's now down in position 18, 28 seconds off Curving Texas in front of him. So both the Renaults have had a very unfortunate race. They're currently down in P16 and 17th. Curving Texas down 4 spots and Plevs down 1. So they both unfortunately not had the ideal end to their season, but unfortunately it just hasn't been their season either. They seemed like they were very strong last season. Obviously Curving Texas, the Season 1 Tier 2 champion, stepping up into the main game for Season 2, and unfortunately wasn't able to get, I think, what he wanted to. But I think now with that little bit of experience in the main game, let's see how he goes heading into Season 3.
It's going to be interesting to see that, but it is Ferrari and Mercedes, Ferrari and Gaming Burger as well there, as there's some traffic. BK, who that final corner has caught him out there, and it caught out the Williams as well of Todster. A couple of laps to go, but things settling down now as Spilly and Aaron, they're very close, aren't they? The Red Bull, the battle for the minor points paying positions, of course, with the Force India in 9th, as we've got 2 yellow flags, Sector 2 and Sector 3. Green flags now though, so nothing doing at the moment as the Red Bull goes down the inside of Spilly there in the racing point. They almost touch, and you can see there Aaron, who's been another driver who's dropped down a bit, hasn't he, from the start of this race. He was going into a disappearing wedge there on the Racing Point car, but no harm done in the end. As speaking of Racing Point, XJ Schmidt has a 3-second time penalty, but things settling down at the moment. But like we say, anything can happen, and it usually does. 5 laps to go, but can 40 get that Ferrari home and get that precious Constructors Championship trophy back to Maranello? I reckon they've got it wrapped up here, but you never know, Lockie.
Yeah, it's definitely, the race isn't over until you cross that checkered flag or past that checkered flag. So they're currently on lap 23 of 28, only a few laps remaining. Jay Schmidt has also now made a move on Todster as the Williams driver is into the pit lane for a new set of tyres. I believe he'll be going onto the softs, as you can see. He's also doing a nose change on that Williams car. He'll probably try and go for fastest lap to see where he comes out, but late race safety cars is also going to be a talking point now. We have seen them happen before, I believe. At Brazil, actually. Was it Brazil? I think it was Brazil. We saw it come out with 2 laps remaining in the Grand Prix, so it can come out at absolutely any point in the race. So let's see what happens here. 40 has a 6.5 second lead now over Zach Krun, so he is edging away from that Mercedes driver. Crossy in P3 at the moment. He's still battling it out with Gaming Burger. I think Crossy has a little bit more pace at the moment than Zach, but unfortunately he has that Williams car right behind him, which is unfortunately hurting his or just forcing him to lose a little bit of concentration, sorry. Pure Gold's backed off the train. Here's a yellow flag. Is that curving Texas again? It is curving Texas in the exact same spot. This is the third time this race that curving Texas has spun out in that exact same corner.
Certainly is, and he's not liking that corner, is he, in this race so far? But my goodness me, there's still some battles to be had here, and we can still see the gaps, well, less than a second now between Gaming Burger and that Ferrari. That is the battle for the final podium position. Will it be two Ferrari drivers up there on the podium? 4 laps to go until we find out. But Gaming Burger, he's got a bit of a habit, doesn't he? He sort of comes into the race a little bit later on. It's a bit of a slow burn for him as he almost gets out of shape there. But you can see now Ferrari, Mercedes, Zach there in a Ferrari sandwich in P2, Crossy in the other Ferrari, Williams. Good to see a Williams up that high, Pure Gold, and it's been a decent race for Alfa Romeo, you've got to say, with both their cars in the points. And along with Ferrari, the only 2 teams in the top 10 at the moment. So good points for both of those guys. But Spilly as well, ex-Revolution. The McLarens have gone off the radar, but Revolution's still down there in 9th place. He'll be collecting 2 points. And you can see Spilly as well, the only driver on those hard tyres. But it looks like it's worked out pretty well for him with 4 laps to go. He's back inside that top 10. But, well, I reckon you never know what could happen. We've got a few laps remaining. No chances, I reckon, of a safety car, or less of a chance of a safety car. But we could see anything happen in the final couple of laps of this race. But I've got to say, Lockie, at the moment, it's 40's race to lose in the Ferrari.
It definitely is. He's got a 7.6 second lead now, so a safety car for him would be absolutely the worst thing possible. But Gaming Burger, as we saw there on your screen, is now up into position 3, and I'm not too sure if you saw on stream as well, but 4022 has currently has a 3-second time penalty. He will have to serve at the end of the race, which shouldn't affect him at this stage, as he has 7 seconds between himself and the Mercedes as Zach. But the main talking point here is that Zach has a 6-second time penalty at the moment. He has to owe at the end of the Grand Prix. And if you have a look at the gaps on the left-hand side there of your screen, Gaming Burger is 1.9 seconds behind Zach Crichton. But Gaming Burger has 3 seconds of penalties he has to owe. But I reckon one of the biggest points, I should say, I know I've said a lot of points here, but Crossy currently has no penalties at the moment. So he's looking to potentially take P2 here for a Ferrari 1-2, the final round of the season.
And just imagine the Ferrari team as we see Todster there with a 136.287. So he's obviously going for the fastest lap of the race with the soft tyres on, the fresh soft tyres, yellow flags there in Sector 1 and 2. So we'll keep an eye on that as Gaming Burger now dropped a little bit behind Zach, of course. But 40 still out in front, and Gaming Burger now just right in the thick of the action. And BK now.
So there's a massive crash there. Swaggy's absolutely turned Gunners. They were running side by side, heading down the back straight, and I think Swaggy, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble here. He's let Gunners go back by. He knows that was his fault. He tried to keep his nose in there when he was not going to do it. He kind of also bumped and run Gunners heading into the braking zone as well, which kind of gave him the overlap to do that, but still wasn't far enough up, and unfortunately that put Gunners into a half spin. Fortunately though, Swaggy did give that position back, so they shouldn't hurt him too much, but unfortunately now for Swaggy, having to do all that, that's allowed Spilly to catch up right to the gearbox of that Alfa Romeo car.
And Spilly, of course, on the 10-lap old hard tyres compared to Swaggy on the 17-lap old mediums, and all contact there. Spilly nearly goes around, manages to gather it all up cleanly, and it's Swaggy versus Spilly for your Tuesday night. Where else would you want to be? But boy, coming up to the penultimate lap of this race, the penultimate lap of the season, and he is very, very close indeed. And Gaming Burger looks to have made a move on Zach there with the benefit of the DRS as BK retires from the session. And then it's 17 now with Curving Texas down the back of the field. But, well, Gaming Burger, he continues the march. Lachlan, he's up into second place now, or second place, sorry, so for the Williams team. Fantastic stuff.
He is now up in a second place, but also this battle now, Extra Evolution's now got ahead of Swaggy, and so has Spilly. So what can the Alfa Romeo do here? Can he fight back on the McLaren as they head down the back straight? The second DRS zone available on the circuit. Extra Evolution, switchback maneuver there for Swaggy. Down the inside, they made contact there. Side pod to side pod contact, and unfortunately, Swaggy spun round. Unfortunately, he has really, really hot tyres now. That's completely his own fault spinning around there. He made side pod contact there with the McLaren, and unfortunately, his race is now done. Not too sure what Aaron's doing here. There's a yellow flag in Sector 3 at the moment, so could we see a safety car? Now we're continuing on. I think Aaron also made a little error because he now has Swaggy right behind him, so... Oh, he's absolutely pile driving now with Swaggy, so I'm not too sure what's happening with these two. Oh, Swaggy has a puncture. Front right puncture for the Alfa Romeo driver. And Zach's dropped down to P4. What's happened to our Mercedes driver? He's lost positions. Everyone, pure gold. He's around the Alfa Romeo driver's gone. Heading through turn 3. It's all happening here in the dying stages of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Pure gold has been spun round. What happened to Zach Crichton? Did he make contact there with Gaming Burger? Swaggy's now out of the Grand Prix. Down in position 14. And so is Aaron. What's happened to those two? And unfortunately, everything's happening here in the last 2 laps of this Grand Prix.
Well, unbelievable stuff here. Just when we said that the positions were settled, nothing could happen as Zach down the inside of the Ferrari now. Crossy, the battle for third and fourth there. You can see on your screen, just as we said it was getting boring, just as we said it was getting dull and nothing was happening, it is absolute carnage and things have got spicy on the penultimate lap of this race, but it's still the Ferrari of 40 coming up to start his final lap ahead of Gaming Burger. But look at these two. Look at them, Lockie. Just look at them. Ferrari, Mercedes. It is on. And boy, oh boy, Crossy wins the battle for P3. 2 Ferraris on the podium so far, but who knows what's going to happen in the final 5.5 kilometres of this one.
Zach nearly went spinning there. He's got really, really hot rear tyres at the moment. As you can see, he's really struggling. What's happening to Zach Crichton? Is his tyres done? I think that's what's happened. He's been out on these tyres for so long. I'll be able to confirm how long he's been out on those tyres. 17 laps now on those medium tyres. So they are absolutely going to be screaming at him. He needs to try and make sure he doesn't get a puncture, if anything. But we need to remember as well, Gaming Burger has a 3-second time penalty he will need to owe at the end of this Grand Prix. And Crossy needs to make sure he stays within 3 seconds. But unfortunately, there you saw he had a massive tank slapper heading through turn 2 and 3. So can Crossy stay within 3 seconds to Gaming Burger to make it a Ferrari 1-2 at the final round of the Race Spec Esports PS4 Pacific Series Tier 1 League? We are on the final lap of the Grand Prix, but can Gunners spoil the party? He's coming up to the rear of that Ferrari as well. Zach Crichton has pure gold. Spilly, Extra Evolution, Jay Schmidt, and nearly Wingman right up his gearbox. What can pure gold do? He's going to have a really nice run here on the Mercedes driver to the inside line. The Alfa Romeo goes, and he's not going to be able to do it. Is Zach Crichton, pure gold, now up into the top 5. Spilly in P6 at the moment.
Absolute disaster here, I reckon, for the Mercedes. Lachlan, he is, well, he's dropped so many places in the final couple of laps of this race. And have a look at them all. Racing Point, McLaren, Alfa Romeo, another Racing Point. Zach Crichton down to 8th position at the moment. And he's going to be amongst, well, ex-Jay Schmidt and Wingman as well on the soft tyres. So they will have the pace advantage here on the final lap. And Zach down to 9th, our champion-elect, as 40 has crossed the line for Ferrari. Forza Ferrari, grazie ragazzi. In P1, Gaming Burger will come across the line. He does that in 2nd. But boy, oh boy, penalties have got to come into it as well. And it's looking like a Ferrari 1-2 on my screen, Lockie. But I've got to say, absolutely hectic in the final few laps of this one, and those tyres are gone. Can Zach hang on to P10? He is absolutely done as he crosses the line. Wow, he's out of fuel, out of tyres, out of talent, you name it. He comes across the line to finish P. Oh, he's done. He's not even going to make the line, is he? Yeah. Yes, he is. Well, what a finish to this race. What a finish to the season. And, well, we always see it, don't we? It was a bit of a slow burn in the middle of that race, but things picked up very quickly. And, well, I'm just wishing I rocked up 20 weeks ago. What a race.
It was definitely a great end to the race there for the PS4 Pacific Series Tier 1 season. Ferrari making it a 1-2 here at the final round at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Gaming Burger will take home P3 for the Williams team. Great result for them. They'll be absolutely stunned with that. Spilly in P4 for Racing Point. Really good recovery drive for him. Up 7 spots in this race. Gunners in P5, P6, Extra Evolution. Then it will be Jay Schmidt, AU Wingman, Breno, and Plevs takes home the final point for Renault. But definitely, I think driver of the day has to go to 40-22 without a doubt.
Yep, my driver of the day, no doubt about that. He came here with a point to prove. He needed to get it done, and he's managed to take home the silverware as well. And I believe, does that sees Ferrari crowned the constructors champions as well, Lockie? So they've come away with the I guess the consolation prize. Zach is our drivers champion, but still nothing to sniff at the constructors championship as well.
There definitely is, and obviously I don't think either Mercedes ended up finishing in the points after that race, because Zach ran out of fuel, and I think he may have even had a puncture at the end of the race there. But congratulations to our podium getters, both the Ferraris of 40 and Crossy F1, and the Williams driver of Gaming Burger. We'll be back shortly as well. Stay tuned on the stream as well. We'll try and get some post-race interviews with a couple of drivers from the race. Stay tuned, and we'll be back with you shortly.
Gaming Burger, mate. Talk us through, are you there? First, have you got us?
Yeah, all good.
Yep, talk us through your race, mate. Bit hectic at the start, but how'd you go towards the end, mate? You managed to put on a late charge and come home on the podium?
Yeah, so the start was a bit shocking. I have to admit that, but shit happens, I guess. A good qualifying, surprised myself. Decided to pit early just to see if I can get that undercut, and the undercut worked well, like extremely well. And then I looked up from then. Surprised.
Good stuff, mate. Good way to finish the season. I guess the season overall. Now we're at the end of season 2, mate. Are you happy with your season overall? And what are your expectations heading into next season?
Oh, no expectations next season, but yeah, I'm extremely happy with this season.
Oh, good stuff, mate. You had a storming drive tonight, mate. You finished the top 3. Great way to finish off the championship, and thanks very much for joining us.
All good. Cheers, man.
Good stuff. And have we got some Ferrari drivers on the line, Lockie?
Yes, we do. We have both the Ferrari drivers, actually, of Crossy and 40. Welcome to the post-race interviews chat here, guys. Congratulations as well. You are the Season 2 PS4 Pacific Series Tier 1 Constructors Championship champions, I should say. Congratulations. We'll start with you, 40. Obviously, you didn't have the ideal qualifying or the ideal start to the weekend that I think you would have wanted, but you managed to get yourself up into the lead of the Grand Prix from position 9 in 9 laps. So talk us through the start of your race and also what you were thinking with strategy.
Yeah, I knew it was pretty simple soft mediums around here. For qualified, my brake pedal was spiking a little bit, so I lost a lot of time through that middle sector, which was pretty unfortunate, but I was able to put the car, P11, P10, and then, I guess I just put my head down from there. I was a little bit aggressive at times, but I think I needed to do that to put myself in the situation where I ended.
Yeah, it was definitely a great race from you, but we'll also talk with you, Crossy, because you were battling with Gaming Burger, and it looked like also pure gold for quite some time in that race. What were your thoughts there? And also, let's talk about the fact that I think it was you that made contact with Zach Crichton heading into that penultimate lap. So talk us through your race.
Yeah, no, my race was going all right. First couple of laps are pretty hectic. Everyone trying to jostle for position. Ended up losing out there. Had a bit of contact with Burger and sort of dropped us all down. And then I knew going to the pit stop phase that I needed to get in before the front lot did. Yep. And not save myself double stacking or even pitting too late. And the undercut ended up working, ended up popping me out and net P2 out of all the cars that were doing the one stop, and just sort of kept my nose clean, drove it through, made sure I didn't want to get penalties, and brought home the second. It was pretty good.
It's a great race from you there, mate. But we'll move on to our Race Spec F1 Esports PS4 Pacific Series Tier 1 Season 2 champion, Zach Crichton. You are now officially the champion of the season. Congratulations, mate. Obviously, I don't think the last race went to plan to what I think you would have liked to. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get the constructors standings, which I think the whole Mercedes team would have liked to get the double. But unfortunately for BK, that start just was not what he needed.
Yeah, it's great to be the champion, It's not too bad at all. But, that race didn't ideally go to plan. Probably should have done some laps, but been busy with uni assignments, but it's not an excuse. But, it was a good race. Was sitting happy there, and then Bailey caught up, and his pace was just way too good. So he carved through, and then, my soft tyres fell off and got quite hot, and fell back behind Aaron, I think it was, and we pitted there and then stuck behind Seb and Swaggy for a few laps, and then Bailey was gone by then, but it's a bit unfortunate we couldn't get the constructors, but it was massive outside shot with Seb and Bailey, especially two top drivers in the championship, but it's been great fun battling mainly Bailey and Revs all season, so I hope to do it next season again.
I mean, it's been
Zach, sorry,
you go, my bad.
Oh, sorry, mate. I was going to say, quick question, mate. What are the plans for tonight? Are you taking the private jet back to Stuttgart with Toto, or is there mixed emotions given you lost the Constructors' Championship, mate?
Oh, no, we're partying hard, mate. Got to drown those sorrows. But, that private jet, hopefully she lands, but, we'll see what happens.
I'll keep the 1.5 metres, mate. You should be right, but congratulations.
Cheers, thank you.
It's been a great season, obviously, as a commentator. Obviously, Trevor will be next season's commentator, so giving you guys a little insight, or giving you a little insight to who could be potential contenders for next season. Obviously, let's see if the duo of Crossy and 40 end up continuing next season. You guys looking to stay at Ferrari, signing a contract or re-signing your contract again for next season, or you looking elsewhere potentially?
No, I'll probably be going elsewhere. I don't know what Seb's thinking of doing, but I don't think I'll be at the Scuderia next season.
There you go. Breaking news. What about you, Seb?
I haven't exactly decided. Still sort of picking my sort of which engine note I like the most. Obviously, I'm a big fan for the Renault engine, but who's to say?
So we had a few people saying in the chat that Ferrari were fuel cheating again, so maybe that has a bit of an impact on your decision. But any other questions there do you have for our drivers here, Trevor?
No, nothing more from me. Just a big congratulations, to everybody over the course of the season. I know I've just sort of rocked up for the final round, but you'll probably be hearing my voice a little bit more next year. But just congratulations to you, Zach, and to Ferrari for taking out the constructors this year. Great stuff.
Yeah, GG Zach, good win on the drivers, man.
Cheers, thanks Bailey.
So I've completely forgot as well. 40's actually wrapped up the championship for P2 as well. So congratulations to you, mate, for that. You ended up finishing ahead of Aaron and X Revolution, which is what you needed to do. Unfortunately for Revolution, I'm not too sure what's happened in his race. It went downhill at the beginning, and then Aaron just wasn't able to get back through the field. So just quick question as well, was that your plan, just to make sure you finished in front of them and have a nice lead heading into those final laps? You there, baby? Good job.
I zoned out, man. I'm sorry. What did you say? I completely zoned out. Oh my god, sorry. Yeah. What
was your thinking there heading into those final laps? Obviously, you knew that X Revolution and Aaron didn't have a chance at taking that P2 away from you. So, what was your plan there heading into those last couple of laps in the race?
I guess just bringing the car home, making sure I didn't get a puncture or anything. I guess once I got around the final corner, then I knew it was over. So there was still a chance for a safety car or something, which we saw many yellow flags in those final couple of laps. So Zach. It was never over till it was over. So just once I rounded the final corner, that's when I knew it was done. And hopefully we can have battles like that for next season.
Hell yeah.
No worries. So thank you everyone for joining me this season as well in the live stream. It's been a massive pleasure commentating the Spec Esports PS4 Pacific Series Tier 1 League again for this season. Obviously, I believe it will actually be BK and Trevor, BKXI, who races in the Pacific Tier 1 League, and Trevor doing commentary for next season. So stay tuned as well on F1 2020 for Season 3 of Spec. But thank you guys for joining me for some post-race interviews. Thank you, Trevor, for joining me here in the commentary box for the last round of the season as well, mate.
Been an absolute pleasure, mate. Looking forward to next season.
It's going to be a great season next season. Thank you guys for joining the stream as well. If you are new around here, please do hit that subscribe button. It'd be much appreciated. My name is Extra, also known as Lachlan Murphy, and I will see you guys next time.